All my life I've been playing video games, I'm sure much like the rest of you watching this video. It has become a part of my life at such an early age that I was practically born with a controller in my hand. The difference was, for the most part, I didn't grow up with the same games most people would have or did. I grew up on movie tie-ins like Ratatouille for the PS2, the occasional LEGO game, and sometimes games like Sly Cooper. While I did play games like Street Fighter on the PS1, that was at my cousin's house. And while I did play games like Mario Kart 64, that was at my other cousin's house. Eventually though, my brother did get a PS2, and from that point on, we began collecting and growing our library more and more. Because over the years, even though I had mostly stayed up to date with newer games, there were many games I had missed over the years due to the time of release, not being exposed to it as a lot of you were, and due to prioritizing which games I wanted to spend money on. However, it's not always so simple to revisit older classic games and other retro titles, because they often only exist on the platform they were created for and nowhere else. This is precisely why emulation has become so popular over the years, because companies like Sony and Nintendo often refuse to offer affordable and legal ways of preserving their older titles. Of course, Sony has recently launched that new PS Plus service that essentially absorbed their PS Now, allowing you to play certain older games, but it really isn't enough. It was supposedly PlayStation's answer to Game Pass, but it still pales in comparison. Xbox Game Pass not only allows for tons of new day one releases, but they do a much better job at backward compatibility. On their service, you've got Banjo-Kazooie, Perfect Dark, the first Psychonauts, all the mainline Gears of War games, and even all the mainline Halo games. And although I'm aware that the Master Chief Collection was quite broken at launch, to me it is still impressive with what they did for the anniversaries, with updated visuals, new cutscenes, and the addition of toggling between old textures and the new with the click of a button. It is unfortunate that you can't do that with all of them, but I still think it is a cool feature nonetheless. That's something that Sony and Nintendo have struggled with for years. For a long time, the only real way to re-experience an old game was to wait for a port and or remaster of the game you hope to play. That's not to say remasters are bad in any way necessarily, but it often does feel like a lazy cash grab when devs don't bother with proper optimization of the game to a newer platform while often charging full price. Now, again, this isn't always the case, and I actually am one who defends remasters every now and again, but there needs to be another way to re-experience these games without waiting or gaining access to them only behind a paywall. It is odd because the original model for the PlayStation 3 allowed for backward compatibility with not only PS1, like the later models too, but also PS2 as well. You could pop in a PS2 disc and it would play with no problem. We unfortunately did not get our PS3 early enough to experience that, but it was a feature. Nintendo has a history with backward compatibility as well. With their 3DSs, you could play DS games, and with their last main console, the Wii U, you had the ability to play Wii, GameCube, and N64. But now with the Switch, the only way to access older games is to either purchase a remaster for full price, or pay a premium subscription fee to play N64 and Sega Genesis. Some of their remasters have been less than stellar. While I love Skyward Sword HD as someone who had never played it before on the original Wii because it not only offered a higher resolution but also regular button controls as an option, I found it to be quite overpriced. Had it been a collection with, let's say, Twilight Princess and Wind Waker for example, then I would have had an easier time justifying and recommending paying the full $60 or $80 over here in Canada to even those who have played them before. The only real reason I bought it was because, for one, I had never played it, and two, the only used copies I could find online in my area, or that would ship here, were about half the price of this remaster. So I figured in my case it was worth it to pony up that extra cash to be able to experience the game better, but the point here is that this is not an option a lot of people are comfortable enough with. The same goes for their ports of Super Mario 3D All-Stars, especially when they made it scarce and limited to increase their sales. Though, at least that was bundled with 3 games instead of 1. As for the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, it's less than ideal, to say the least, considering emulation is an option and actually outperforms it. The games on the service only run in 720p and have had a lot of connectivity issues when playing online since. They also don't offer a very large library for either N64 or Sega Genesis. I am aware that they are slowly adding to this expansion with more games and certain DLCs over time, but from launch to even now, I do not believe the price is justified. I'd rather pay the extra $25 to own Happy Home Paradise instead of paying more for it yearly. so there is little incentive to pay for this premium service when they can play any game they want for free in 4K if they so desire, and granted their device can run it. If Nintendo wants people to be able to play their games legally without having to scavenge and find a used console online, Nintendo needs to improve the way they handle preservation. Circling back to PlayStation, although I am thrilled to have my entire PS4 library on my PS5, that is a sort of step I feel they should have taken a long time ago, and they could largely improve their backward compatibility with PS1, PS2, and PS3. And looking at how Xbox has been handling it for several of their generations with optimization, I do believe there is much needed room for improvement there for Sony and Nintendo. Sony at the moment has taken some small baby steps in the right direction, but they could use an extra push. As for Nintendo, though I doubt we will see many changes anytime soon, hopefully one day we can have our cakes and eat them too. If you enjoyed that video, leave a thumbs up and comment down below your thoughts. Remember to hit subscribe and ring the bell to be updated with all my latest videos. This was Farhan, aka Mel, and until next time, I'll see you soon.